You see this clip of Sliwa? The funniest goddamn clip I've ever seen.
However, I think it is clear to New Yorkers who are against Mamdani that you and Cuomo are splitting the anti-Mamdani vote. So my question is simple. Are you okay if Mamdani wins that you, so to speak, contributed to that?
Well, number one, Ackman is a jerk. Has he been right yet? Here's a guy who goes up to Newport, Rhode Island and thinks he's a professional tennis player. Come on, Ackman, stay in your lane. Does he know anything about politics? No. Does he live in New York City? No. He lives in Chapaka, the whitest suburb of America, where even the lawn jockeys are white.
The reason he's not a Democrat is because he's too woke to be a Democrat. A Democrat couldn't get away with saying, we all know he's correct. We all know what he means. You know perfectly well if he pulled some shit like this in the Democratic debate stage, some bitch-ass Hillary Clinton type on the other side would be like, what do you mean by that? Remember that one lady on The View who said, you know, Mr. Trump, you want to deport the Mexicans? Well, who's going to, like, mow your lawn or whatever? And everyone had to pretend it was super racist to say that, even though in Los Angeles, 99% of the landscapers are Mexicans, you know? Like, everyone acting in good faith immediately understood what she meant and knew the point she was making, but a bunch of fake-ass, you know, fake woke id pullers were like, are you implying that landscaping jobs are only for a racial underclass? Annoying. No, he is a real New Yorker. It's true. It's true. He's a real... Oh, that's not. Yeah, exactly. He's a real New Yorker. I've seen so many people with bad takes in him, too. I saw one popular tweet. It said he's like a Reagan 84 voter frozen in amber. No, the f he isn't. No, he's not. He officiated the first gay wedding. He's not. No, he's not. He's a unique... You can't understand him using these paradigms. He's a very unique force. He's like a 94 Clinton voter, honestly. He literally said Reagan's the best president ever. Sure, but he's not a 84 Reagan voter frozen in amber. He's just not.
He may know Wall Street. He may know hedge funds. He has been wrong every step of the way with the billionaires. So let's say people come to the conclusion, if somehow I lose, and we know Andrew Cuomo's lost, he's already tossed in the town. Oh, it's because of you, Curtis. Because of... Really? It's because of the Democrats. Wait a second. Who created Zohan Mamdani? Who embraced him? Who nourished him? Who supported him? And how dare you, people who know nothing about politics, suggest that everybody who's going to vote for me is suddenly going to be reborn? We love Andrew Cuomo. He killed all these elderlies.
Does anyone else feel like he pulls a bit of a Frank impression from It's Always Sunny a little bit when he's doing his like lofty, fake, sincere voice? I feel like he sounds just like Frank, like right on the money.
We love Andrew Cuomo. He killed all these elderlies, the sexual harasser. He told conservatives and Republicans in 2014, if you're conservative and you believe in right to life and the Second Amendment, you have no place in New York.
He's so funny, man. I think the reason why he's so charming is because he's one of the only high-profile political figures that is the median voter. He's incoherent. He's rabidly anti-leftist. He's pro-queer rights. He's not... How to thread the line with this, okay? He's normatively anti-racist, but in practice supports racist policies. Like, there are photos of him with his boys, the Guardian Angels, all of them in red berets. Every guy around him is black. And when he started doing that, the rhetoric he used was, you know, cleaning up the streets and so on. And admittedly, New York was very crime-ridden back then. And now he's, like, going after illegal immigrants. But he does this in a very, like, early conservative kind of racist way, where like, Reagan would say, you know, America's for everyone, we're the shining beacon on the hill or whatever. It wasn't openly ethno-nationalist rhetoric, but in practice, the cops were all racist, if that makes any sense. So normatively, he's very anti-racist. Descriptively, he's quite racist. Or at least a lot of the stuff that he does leads to racist outcomes. I genuinely have no clue what is in his heart. I have no clue on that matter. No, he's a median voter. He's an incoherent blob. He could never be like a doctrinal member of either party, you know? He never could.
You need to leave. This is the result of the Democrat self-destruction. So I'm supposed to help them? How come they don't help themselves? Andrew Cuomo failed everybody in that primary. He even admitted it. Now he's basically saying, I can't win without Sliwa votes. Where are your votes? Why don't you spend your money and things? Got millions from the billionaires. Millions. Go out, get your own votes. Convert Sliwa voters. But for me to drop out, I represent a major party line. I have people running under me, council people, judges. They put their heart and soul into it. They support me. I have more donations than Andrew.
That's true. Sliwa does represent the Republican Party in New York City, whereas Cuomo is just a degenerate independent who, you know, lost the primary.
Cuomo does matching funds. So you know something? This is called voting.
Do you think his contradictory policy is based on some conviction or belief, or is he just trying to appeal to a specific demographic? No. 100% sincere. Sliwa could not be this if he was trying to cynically appeal to a demographic. He is what he is because he's actually, like, sincere in what he believes. Whatever, you know, whatever combination of beliefs that might be, it has to be sincere.
Sure. Since when do we not let people vote? Billionaires determine the next mayor? If they don't like it, they can leave. They have options. Blue-collar working class people don't. Those are the people I'm representing, not Andrew Cuomo.
Sure. However,
maybe rabidly leftist isn't the right.
Anybody who knows the history of New York City knows we've had socialists in elected office. We've had communists in city council. We had Mark Antonio, who was the congressman that represented East Harlem when FDR was the president. He was a socialist. Somehow life went on. We survived it. It's part of the political process. I don't fear socialists. I don't fear communists. I say leave it to the people. Let them make the decision at the ballot box.
Maybe the hat controls him. When he has the hat on, he becomes a socialist. I could see that. Did you see the slapping fannies quote? Respectfully, literally everyone has. If you haven't, you weren't paying attention to the mayoral race.
Eric Adams is damaged goods. Every day, a new case of corruption in the police department. They believe he's corrupt. Andrew Cuomo is a creep, slapping fannies and killing grannies. Everybody likes Curtis Sliwa. My favorable ratings are the highest in this election cycle. So get.
It's so right. He's true. It's true. My beautiful partner pitched that he can be a parade czar after Mamdani wins. You know, he can run the New York City sort of parades permit office with the efficiency of the Navy. You know, he loves parades. He thinks there should be more parades. I think that for him, an ideal New York City would be one in which at least one major boulevard was always closed for a parade. I think that he should facilitate that. He was born in the wrong state. Strongly disagree. He couldn't be anywhere but New York. Nowhere but New York. He was the only guy who cared about parades in the debate. The other two are hacks. I do think that when Mamdani actually is mayor, and he's going to be mayor, he does need to care more about pageantry. Love this old picture of Sliwa. It's a good look on him. Man, look at how much better t-shirts fit back in like the 1980s, you know? The super tight cropped with the short sleeves. Why does he look so gay? Have you seen how men dressed in the 70s and 80s? Are you sure it's not just how much more ripped the men were? Well, that's another thing. We all have to get skinnier now. I'm 2/3 of the way through The Devil Wears Prada, and that's the lesson that I'm taking so far through the movie. I got 2/3 of the way through before I fell asleep, okay? The lesson I'm learning is that we're all fat. I think that's the point of the movie. Zoran reposted the Sliwa, and yeah, how could he not? It's incredibly funny. Also, Sliwa has never really offered any meaningful criticism of Mamdani. Well, I shouldn't say that. What I should say is that Sliwa has never participated in attacking Mamdani for the stuff you would expect him to, or the stuff that Cuomo's attacked him for. So Sliwa has accused Mamdani of being, you know, a leftist, ineffectual, lacking experience. Okay, but he's never done the Zionist bullshit. And he's also never really done the racism stuff. He's never pulled the racism card. Not really gone after Mamdani for being Muslim, not even like an implicit way, you know, like how will you protect the Jews of the city and so on. He just hasn't really done that, you know. Far less racist than Cuomo. I mean, the entire campaign strategy behind Cuomo and Adams, by the way, back when he was running, both of them, was essentially just how is this scary Muslim going to, you know, prey on the Jewish population of the city. Super racist. Watch him describe the assassination story. Okay, last thing we're watching on Sliwa, and then we'll get to actual. We'll get the news. Okay, Do you have any thoughts on the famous cerulean sweater monologue? I mean, she's right. In The Devil Wears Prada, she's right. I mean, it's true. My partner was ribbing me the whole time. You know, they were like poking me because they're like, "Oh my God, that's you. You're this like psychopath. You know, you're like this psychopath or whatever." Which, I mean, fair. It's a form of art, okay? You can't treat it like you're serving utility. If you cared about utility, then everyone would just wear Carhartt overalls to everything and shit their own pants or something. I don't know. Anyway, just
cab late at night, sawed the handles off on the inside and turned it into a rolling coffin, and assumed that on one of those mornings I would pick their cab, which had their wheelman, a Gambino guy named Angelo Dundee Bundini Brown or something along those lines,
okay,
and the shooter, Michael Iannotti, and they would go round and round the block. And Joey D'Angelo looked like a cab driver, and Michael Iannotti was a killer extraordinaire because he was an executioner. And on the sixth day that they went round and round, bingo, lotto day for them, I picked their cab. I jumped in the back, told them, Madison Square Garden, hurry up, Mac. Said, no.
POV, you're Tony at the restaurant, and one of your capos is enthusiastic explaining to you the plot of the second half of the last episode. It's
problem, Sliwa. And I thought, wow, an English-speaking cab driver, a guy who knows where he's going. Man, this is my day. I can max and relax, read the newspapers, prepare for the broadcast. Halfway there, instead of turning left and going west, he turns right to Gabon and goes east. And I said, hey, Mac, turn this hack around. And all of a sudden, he was putting the pedal to the metal, and I could hear the transmission grinding. And I said, I don't think he's taking this to AMCO for a transmission fix. And I said, hey, Mac, I told you, turn this hack around. And then lickety split within seconds.
This
all
guy.
of a sudden, some gorilla pops up in front of me who had been stuffed under the dashboard. He's popping a 38 right down at my three-piece set, my lower extremities, not the knife, spoon, and fork. And all of a sudden, he says, take this, you son of a bitch. Boom! And he fires. And I could see the fire leave the barrel of the gun. Didn't feel anything and never been shot before, so assumed, wow, this is just a bad dream or a misfire. And by the time I could come to my senses, as my heart was beeping and I felt like Robbie Robot and Lost in Space, you know, danger, Mr. Robinson, danger, he raises the gun, fires a second time, and now I feel it, the cramping, the blood is spewing. All of a sudden, I'm in a panic, and I immediately dive for the door, figure I'll dive into oncoming traffic, risk becoming a speed bump, and they knew I would do that, and as I reached for the handle, and pulled to yank it open. It came off from my hand, and pow, a third shot right through my legs like a hot knife through butter. I've now been shot 3 times. I'm bleeding like a sieve. I'm stuffed beneath the driver, trying to avoid the headshots. I'm fighting the gun off so he can't pop 2.
That wasn't the full story. Okay.
So he can't pop 2 in the back of my head. And then all of a sudden, I pick up my Guardian Angel walkie-talkie. I say, Angel 1, code red, Angel 1. And they start blabbering away. And it distracts the driver, Joey D'Angelo, who thinks maybe it's NYPD 50. So he drives on the sidewalk. He drives back onto the street. He makes a radical turn going south towards the Williamsburg Bridge. And I feel a gust of wind. And
what year was this? New York City used to be like very crime-ridden, especially compared to today. It's very easy for me to sympathize. 1992? Okay, it's very easy for me to sympathize with the Guardian Angels in concept back when they were made. You know? This was actually a week ago. It was just
said, feet don't fail me now. I got precious little energy, so I used the cushion in the back to see, as if it were a trampoline, dived in the direction of what I felt was an open window because I felt the gust of wind. Luckily, they had opened the window just moments before they had picked me up because the air conditioner wasn't working. Lucky that the AC...
Wasn't there a massive crime drop in the 90s? Yeah, a lot of people attribute it to broken window policing, but there was this big confluence of forces that contributed to it. It's still debated to this day what caused the big crime drop of the 90s. But this is the reason why people like Sliwa give so much credit to Mayor Giuliani, because at that time, for one, there was a big wave of social conservatism. You know, Reagan had just had 2 very popular terms. We were in, it was the you know, Bush senior years, Clinton was maybe just beginning. And a lot of towns, you know, including with New York City, you had conservative governance, and the crime rate started to drop a lot. This is the number one reason why people credit Republicans with dropping the crime, by the way. Still, 30 years ago. Like, this is the main cultural force. Because this was the big shift. Every up and down in the crime rate in America since then has been like a rounding error compared to the drop that took place from like late 80s to mid 90s. Giuliani was mayor after the crime dropped. When wait, hold on. Am I totally wrong on that? When did Giuliani become mayor? Giuliani from 1994. Okay. Yeah. So you preside over the end of the drop and like when things start to stabilize. Yeah. Okay, yeah. But they do get a lot of credit for this broadly. By the way, I just Googled Giuliani mayor. Number one pop-up from Facebook was a picture of him getting his hand shook by Sliwa. So, there you go.
He wasn't working. I made it halfway out the window. The gunman panics. He realizes, oh my God, he's out the window. So he pulls me up by my belt. He puts the gun in my back. The driver at the same time crashes me into parked cars. They smash me like sardines, nut to butt. They pump that final bullet in the back, push me out, and figure I'm dead on arrival and I'm sucking concrete. Next thing you know, they scrape me up off the asphalt, put me in the gurney, put me in the meat wagon, throw me on the emergency route of Bellevue, and they start cutting and chopping in an hour and a half. Well, actually, hours.
I think if you've gone through this, you get to be like Sliwa for the rest of your life.
Hours later, days later, I wake up in intensive care with every tube and every orifice of my body, the bells and whistles. I wake up slowly. I see that first face that indicates to me that I'm alive, I'm not dead, and it's Ed Koch, my former nemesis, the former mayor of the city of New York, who thought I was a hemorrhoid in a red beret, and I thought I had died and gone straight to hell without an asbestos suit. When I came to my senses, I realized I was alive. I took a licking and came back ticking, and let's face it, wasn't my martial arts skill that saved the day or my street smarts. It was the man upstairs who decided I wasn't ready to be punching on the time clock yet and going out feet first.
My opinion, big thing. I know that was a huge thing. Don't undersell it. I'm happy he survived. Yeah, here we go. I just wanted to say, like, because it was a different world back then. Here's the murder rate in New York City. It peaked in 91. Look, very, very high coming up from the 60s. This was the big period. But the big drop, yeah, look, Giuliani came in 1994. The big drop was here, and there are so many debates over what caused this. Some people say that it was the legalization of abortion, that since violent crime is overwhelmingly committed by young men, the fact that abortion was, became protected, Roe v. Wade, 1960s, meant that it led to a drop in unwanted births, which decreased the crime rate. And I think maybe there's some degree of truth to that, but I don't think that's the whole thing. A lot of people say it was broken windows policing, but I think that's just not true at all. Especially because, hold your horses. Especially because if I remember correctly, stop and frisk in New York City was at its highest. It was at its most popular in the 2000s. It was after the big crime drop, So I don't even think that was what caused it. I think that it was a confluence of a huge collection of things that happened all over the country. Yeah, stop and frisk peaked back in 2012 under Bloomberg, right? Under Bloomberg, huge number of them, but it didn't correspond to a drop in the crime rate. Do you think the early internet might have helped in part with it? Maybe. I don't really know. I don't know. Whatever it is, it had to be like a nationwide thing, It wasn't just New York City. This happened everywhere. I thought Bloomberg was the originator of stop and frisk. No. He just brought it back into style. I mean, some version of it has been... Yeah, here you go. Simple graph, but... A lot of older Republicans still live in this time frame, by the way. I mean, people's political positions tend to be pretty well cemented by the point that they're young adults, A lot of modern-day Republicans grew up in a world where the crime rate actually was, like, pretty astronomical, Like, they grew up hearing stories from their parents about how everything was safe back in the 50s, which, relatively speaking, it was. 60s, 70s, 80s, it ramps up and up and up. You get fearful of cities. White flight out of Chicago, Pittsburgh, Detroit, everywhere, White people take to the suburbs, black and brown people stay. It leads to a lack of economic opportunity in the cities because people divest, which means that crime raises and the drug war and blah, 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 blah. So a whole bunch of stuff, yeah. But I think a lot of these people genuinely still like they're still in this mindset, you know. There's a huge difference in my mind between a conservative who's 60 years old who says New York City it's dangerous and a conservative who's 30 years old. The 30-year-old conservative who says that is a LARPer. Okay, this is like the fat raised pickup truck kind of guy. You know what I mean? Who's terrified of like a black guy cucking his girl or whatever. There's some degree of, I think, sincerity for an older Republican because at least they were around during a time period where you could have had that fear legitimately, established. But nowadays, it's just ridiculous. Like, well, you're faking it. Okay, you go into the city. You're just doing a bit. Anyway, it's one of the reasons Sliwa is the way Sliwa is. Also, I'd probably be a weirdo about like crime if I got shot 5 times as well. I think that would probably affect me to some extent. Just read the couple in the gay wedding that he officiated were named Ralph and Vinny, and I laughed so hard. Yeah, they were also like employees at the McDonald's he managed, weren't they? It was back in the 70s. No, he's a crazy guy. Wonder how they're doing. That gay couple, I mean. Do you think they're voting for Sliwa? Maybe.